What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Sports. This is Trevor. I'm your host. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. It is Tuesday, the 8th, and it is breaking news that the Jets have just fired Robert Saleh. Now, why am I making this video on a day when I don't make Niner videos? Well, I think I just kind of gave you the answer. We want Robert Saleh back. So, listen, guys, with Nick Sorensen's defense looking absolutely horrible this year, and there's discord in the locker room, we've heard it in the last few days. Nick Bosa speaking up and talking about how the defense needs to be handled differently. Do the Niners make a change at defensive coordinator? I think it would be the right move to bring Saleh back in and get rid of Sorensen. He's not a good defensive coordinator. He has turned the Niners defense into basically crap, I believe, and I don't think anything's going to change for the rest of the season. I just don't think he's a good defensive coordinator. I can see it already. He's taken the talent on the defensive side of the ball with everything he's had and made it look really bad somehow. So I think, yes, bring in Robert Saleh. It's perfect timing. Make a change. Bring in the guy that made that defense what it was, just a stellar defensive operation going on. Is there still problems at the defensive line? Absolutely. And can Robert Saleh fix that? Not entirely, but I do think he is a major upgrade from Sorensen. I think he's been just... Sorensen, has just been an absolutely horrible defensive coordinator. And right now, what you're seeing with Sorensen's defense is offense. You need to put up at least 30 points a game to win a game, or even have a chance at winning a game, because that defense has given up points in large numbers. And I can't believe it's all on the defensive side of the ball. I think this has to do with coaching, but I've said that since the beginning of the season when this thing started to tumble downhill. It's a snowball that started like this big, and now it's like huge, and there's nothing you can do to stop that thing from rolling downhill except for get Robert Saleh in there and push it back up. That's just what I think. It's an opportunity the Niners shouldn't pass up, I don't think. So with that news, I just think they need to go after Saleh, bring him back in, and get rid of Sorensen. He's just not doing the job. It's clear nobody on the defense really is responding to his coaching very well. So I think, hey, all the cards are in place. Will Shanahan get out there and make a change now? I think it's really important that he does. You had the bye week actually coming up in a few weeks down the road, so it's a good time to get him in. And a lot of these players know Saleh's defensive schemes. He coached there not too long ago. These players, a lot of them have been there. Some of them haven't, but they can fall into place and learn this very quickly from the veterans. It's a really good opportunity right now for the Niners to get back a guy who really brought the energy for the defense. It's perfect timing. So Niners, go out, hire Saleh, get rid of the defensive coordinator you got. The defensive coordinator you got is not good. I think we all know that now after just watching a few games, and the players aren't really responding to him. So, yeah, exciting news if the Niners take advantage of it. Also, we really don't know how long Jennings is out for, so let's stay tuned for that. I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow for the Niners video before the game. As a matter of fact, what the hell? Let's just go into it now, and then we'll talk about the post game on Thursday after the game. So let's talk a little bit more about the Niners right now while I got you going. I just started this video and thought, you know what? I need to talk about Saleh and basically the fact that he's gone this morning and Niners need to pick him up. So might as well just keep going. We don't know how long Jennings is out, but he's out right now, and I haven't heard anything good about him starting on Thursday. I think this is just, if this is bad enough to where he's going to be out multiple games, I think this is just a sign. If you can go get Davante Adams, right? Because right now the Raiders are asking for a second-round pick and maybe a third or fourth-round pick. If you can put Davante Adams out there and get him along opposite side of Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuels, and then hopefully we have Christian McCaffrey coming back in week 8 or 9. I still am very skeptical about that because this could be like a Kevin Durant situation where you put him out there with the Achilles issues going on, and then it pops, 1, 2, 3 games into it, and then he's out for a year. I feel like it could go either way right now. I don't know how serious the injury is to Christian McCaffrey, but when you fly to Germany, it can't be good. So I kind of feel like it's like put him out there and see how it goes, and if he gets hurt, he gets hurt, and then he's got to go have surgery and be out a year, and then get back in it by hopefully next training camp, but probably not till even a little bit later. But at least he'll be good to go. Right now, I think he's just sitting on the fence line about whether this is going to be an injury that needs surgery or not. And so I think the Niners are just kind of ramping him up into practice and seeing if they can get him out on the field. So I do think we'll see him this year. How long he lasts, I don't know. So good thing we have Mason. But if we get him back and he is healthy, and you have Mason, and you have Devontae Adams, and you have Brandon Ayuk, now you have an offense that is Super Bowl or bust for real. So 2 things. I think they need to go get Saleh because it's perfect timing, and he is a defensive guru, and he brought the energy to this defensive side of the ball in the Niners that just isn't there right now. And I think you go get Devontae Adams, which is actually on the cheap right now. Does he need to have his contract restructured? I'm sure he's going to ask for it. But if the Niners go and get him and then figure that out in the offseason, or just let him go, maybe he's just a rental for the year for a Super Bowl. But that might be enticing to Adams because Adams would love to have a Super Bowl, I'm sure. So would he put off the negotiations for restructuring a contract to the end of the year or getting a new contract somewhere else to get a Super Bowl? I think so. So there is some negotiating there, I think, that can be done. And the Raiders are just trying to get rid of him at this point. They need to get the guy off the team because they think he's a cancer. I just think he's tired of playing under Gardner Minshew, who is, like I said, a serviceable quarterback who has his ups and downs. And it was clear in the last Raiders game that he had some ups but more downs. So, and that's why he is a quarterback he is. But anyway, I do think bringing Adams in could be a spark of energy for the Niners on the offensive side. And I think bringing in Saleh on the defensive side could bring another spark of energy. Is it going to fix the defensive line that can't get to the quarterback? Maybe in terms of schemes or how he uses Bosa and other defensive linemen on the pass rush, I think it will help. I don't think it fixes everything, but definitely an upgrade because this coach on the defensive side, Sorensen, is not very good. It's clear. Or if he is, it's just they're not responding to him and he needs to move on. I usually don't say that about coaches after 4 games, but from this Niners defense, what I'm seeing, it's a total 180 from what it used to be. So it's not working, and it should be. Even the worst defensive coaches with players like Fred Warner, you have Mustafa out there now. You got Hufanga, who's coming back, but he has been out. But by and large, your defense, you have some great defensive backs, corners. There's no reason they should look as bad as they are and be ranked 27th in the league right now, which I think it's 27th or 28th. There's no reason for that for this Niner team. The talent is just way too high, which means it's on the coaching to get it right. And in 4 games, actually it's been 5 games now, he hasn't done it, and I just don't see the players responding to him anyway. So get him out, get Saleh back in. That's what I think. That's what I feel. It's exciting just thinking about the prospect that he could come back, even though I've heard nothing about the Niners going after him. I still think they should go get him, and I'm excited for the opportunity that maybe they could go steal him back, but I would make that move quick. I would get Sorensen out today. I get Saleh in today, get ready for, or maybe since it's the Thursday night game, fine, you have it in place that he coaches his last defensive game on Thursday, and then he's out and Saleh's in, and Saleh's on the plane right now, already on his way back to take over this defense. I would love to see that happen. That in a perfect world would be it. That would be the perfect scenario. And then I do think the Niners need to be talking to Adams because I don't know how long Jennings is out. I love Jennings. Like I said, I think Jennings has eclipsed Brandon Ayuk this year so far. And like I said, for the last 2 months since training camp, Jennings, the only reason he's not the number 1 wide receiver on this team, 2 reasons. 1, He didn't get drafted in the same spot Ayuk did. So Ayuk is a higher draft pick and expected to be a number one wide receiver. And number two, he doesn't get utilized. But if he did get utilized like Brandon Ayuk did, he would be maybe a better wide receiver, and that's shown. There are reporters out there, again, I keep saying this, there are reporters out there, I'm not going to name names, a couple of them who said, without Brandon Ayuk this year, this wide receiver core is a dumpster fire and trash and very average. That's not true. As long as you had Jennings, you had a number one guy who just wasn't utilized in the way that he should be. Because remember, in the Super Bowl, Jennings made plays, okay? He made plays, and people don't remember that. But if you threw the ball to him more than 2 or 3 times a game, you would see that this guy is a star. And guess what? We've done that this year, and he has been. So I hope that he's not hurt for the year. But if he's hurt 2 or 3 games, I don't see why you don't go get Adams. Because Adams is cheap right now. He's a cheap target, especially if you don't have to restructure his contract now. Let him deal with that in the offseason, and maybe he goes somewhere else. Like I said, he's a good rental because when Jennings comes back, then you have Ayuk, Jennings, Debo, and Adams out there, along with Christian McCaffrey, Mason. You have a powerhouse of an offense. And then don't forget Kittle. You have a powerhouse offense that should win the whole damn thing this year, hands down. If you're the 49ers and you want to win a Super Bowl this year, wouldn't you do everything in your power to make that happen, especially since you're on borrowed time? This team only has a few years left, max, to get it done. And this year is showing that, if nothing else, that they're on the downside, maybe because of injury, most likely because of injury, but they need to get back on top. And what better way to do that than inject them with some energy from a player who can stretch the field like almost no other. Give Brock Purdy that threat of the downfield, the downfield threat that he needs, because Brandon Ayuk is not really the speedster that Adams is. So you could have Brandon Ayuk still running those mid-level routes. He's a great route runner, one of the best in the league, but he doesn't have the speed Adams has. Adams can break away and get downfield on anybody in the league, any corner on the league. And to have that threat on your team, that opens up the run game significantly. It's going to open up the pass game. It's going to open up your opportunities for the tight end like Kittle. I think the Niners should be all in or nothing. Look at the Warriors. When the Warriors wanted to go out and win a championship after they lost the one to the Cavs back in the day, right? They got on the phone with Kevin Durant and got him here that summer. No messing around. Let's get another one right now, and then they went and got 2 more. I'm not saying Kevin Durant is the sole reason they won the 2, because I'm going to say right now on record, Kevin Durant was amazing for the Warriors. He's a massive piece to it. I wish he would have stayed. I still think the Warriors would have won it without him, but with him, it was a shoo-in. It was a done deal. That's not the case for the 49ers here. The 49ers are very much in question whether they're even going to have a good year with the injuries. But if you can inject some energy into this team by making a couple of moves now, while it's early, then that could turn things around completely and we could go on a run. Because remember, it's early, and these injuries that have mounted up, they're just for now. None of these injuries are long-term except for possibly Christian McCaffrey. The other injuries are week to week, okay, for the most part. So this team can get back on top very quickly. And don't forget, last year they lost 3 in a row mid-season, and people were like, uh-oh, is this the end? No, it's just a hiccup in the middle of the road. It's happening now earlier on in the season. If we get on a run now, and we're only 1 game out of first because our division is not that great right now. We got the Rams, they've got the Cardinals, we got the Seahawks, and we got the Niners, right? The Seahawks are in first. Only 1 game up on the Niners right now. The Cardinals would be the tiebreaker, but the Cardinals are not that great of a team. We lost to them because we're just in a funk right now, but I don't expect them to win a lot of games this year. And so is winning the division for the Niners feasible? It's more than feasible. It should almost be expected at this point because people are not giving the Niners the credit they need. And they're going to be strong when it matters the most. Dre Greenlaw is going to be back in week 8 or week 9. When he's back, along with Fred Warner on that defense, right? And say we had like a coach like Saleh back, that defense is going to start humming at the right time. The offense, if you could get somebody like Adams in, you can get your scoring up. First off, you won't need to score 30 points at that point when you have your defense back in line with a good defensive coach and Greenlaw back. So what am I saying right now? The next 3 or 4 weeks is very crucial. If the Niners can make some moves or just win a few of these games so that they can get themselves positioned for the playoffs, right? Don't get yourself out of the playoffs by losing the next 2 or 3 games. Go in there and just grit out some wins any way you can, and get yourself in a groove going. And then when you get to the bye week, right? Everybody starts to get healthy. Everybody gets a week break, and then you have your coaching in order. You have Adams in order, and then you come back and you're making a run at the Super Bowl fully charged, and Christian McCaffrey comes back after the bye week, because that's when they should bring him back. If he's ready to go before the bye week, I don't think you bring him back. I think you wait until after the bye week and then bring him back. It's only an extra week, and it gets him a little bit more practice time, a little bit more, a little bit more rest, and then you get him in there, and after the bye week, you're going on all cylinders, okay? So it's really interesting time right now, could be for the Niners, if they make the right moves. If I'm the owner, right now, I'm on the phone and I'm making a couple of calls, because these are pieces to the Niners that would help them massively. Absolutely would help them massively. So let's see if they don't stumble over themselves and miss out on these opportunities, but they're right there. And you don't want Davante Adams going to the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? Because that's game over, all right? As soon as you pair him up with Mahomes, that's game over, guys. You don't want him there. If he goes to Buffalo, okay, Buffalo's an okay team, but they've stumbled a little bit. I'm not as afraid of Buffalo, but if they get Adams, it's a little bit more scary. So either way, I do think that at the end of this whole thing, if they make these moves, right, to get these players, get this player and get this coach in line now, fast, then it could make a big difference in the long run. So let's see what happens. But I'm excited for the game. The Seattle Seahawks game on Thursday is a must win. We got to get this thing in line and got to get out there and play defense, right? Like I said before, in the last video, I said this defensive line is not changing no matter what, but I might be wrong. If they make a coaching change, it might help enough. It's not gonna significantly change the defensive line overnight, but it might help just enough to get them to where they need to go. So let's see what happens. It's an exciting time if they move on this. I don't know. This is the way my brain thinks. This is how I think if I was the owner of the 49ers and what I would be moving on, because they're very possible, not even possible, they're very likely moves if you want to make them. Davante Adams is there for the taking. You're not going to get a wide receiver like that for that kind of offer. I would give up a second-round pick and a third-round pick and a fourth-round pick for a rental for him for this year to get the ring. Because if you don't get the ring this year, it's only going to become significantly harder to get that ring next year. We're going to be in rebuild mode before we know it, because we are going to pay Brock Purdy, and make no mistake about it, Brock Purdy is going to be the highest-paid quarterback for however long that is. He's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL in the offseason until the next guy comes up. But that tells you something. The money is going to Brock Purdy. These moves need to be made to go after a championship, to go after the Super Bowl now. Right now. Don't wait. It's all hands on deck. There's no time to waste for this 49ers team to get where they want to go. Because otherwise, we're going to be watching a rebuild for 2 or 3 years. And that's just the way the NFL go, guys. You cannot be on top forever. The Patriots did it because they had outstanding coaching and talent acquisition there. I'm not saying the Niners can't do the same thing, but that means finding players that nobody else is looking at and realize, having them realize they're great. Mason's a great, example of that. You could keep doing that, I guess, but that's an outlier. And most of the time in the NFL, you're good for 2 or 3 years, maybe 4, and then you're on the downside for 2 or 3 years. And then if you draft properly and you get back into it, you can be back on the upside. Not every team does that because not every team is good at that. But the opportunities are there. Either way, it's a roller coaster. You only have so much time. The outlier in this is your quarterback. Luckily, we got Brock Purdy. Now, did Brock Purdy make a horrible mistake by throwing that ball the last play of the game? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think he saw I think he saw the pass rusher come in. I don't think he expected his elbow to hit the bottom of his helmet, which caused the ball to kind of flip up in the air. It was just a bad situation. I still think he should have held on to it or thrown it out of bounds and taken another play, because the Niners were moving, and I do think they would have gotten field goal range. But who would have kicked that field goal? I have no idea, because now we got injured field goal kickers, right? So that's another thing. But overall, Brock Purdy is a great quarterback, and just because he made a couple of mistakes, remember, Brett Favre made mistakes, right? He threw a lot of interceptions. Nobody wants to talk about Brett Favre and his interception ratio. He was going against quarterbacks like Steve Young, who beat him, right? Thankfully. But Brett Favre is still one of the greatest quarterbacks of our time, in my time anyway, and he made a lot of mistakes, but he wasn't afraid to stand in there and throw the football. Purdy reminds me a lot of Brett Favre in that way. He's not afraid to take chances and make big plays. I would compare him to Brett Favre a lot more than any other quarterback that I've seen in this league. And that's a good thing, because guess who was afraid? Jimmy G. We had Jimmy G, and as good as he was when he was standing in the pocket, he had one injury to his knee in the second year that he was a quarterback for the Niners. And after that, he became he was seeing ghosts everywhere. He got happy feet. He wouldn't stay in the pocket and throw the ball accurately. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't the next Tom Brady. He was just the next flash in the pan, and he was gone. Brock Purdy got hurt, came back, worked his ass off, came back early, got in the first. He was ready for the first game of the season, and he hasn't skipped a beat, and he's not afraid. He's still in there making plays, taking chances, and throwing the ball down the field. That quarterback is a quarterback you want. So what I'm saying is even if we go through the rebuild, at least we got our quarterback, right? Which is the hardest thing to find. Then you can start looking at other offensive pieces. But I digress. That's down the road if we don't make this happen. My opinion is we need to go out and get those two individuals. Robert Saleh back on defensive coaching. Adams at the wide receiver spot to just build an amazing wide receiver tandem with Brandon Ayuk and Adams. That would be just explosive. Be amazing. They should do that. And the price is right for Adams right now. So on top of all that, you don't want Adams going to a rival that you might see in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs either. So it's self-preservation, and it's a great upgrade at the wide receiver position, which you need right now. Because if I see Bell get on the field one more time, I'm going to throw up in my hat. I am tired of seeing Shanahan put Bell on the field. I don't understand why Cowing isn't out there then. I trust Cowing way more than I trust Bell. I don't trust Bell. I don't understand why this man is still on the team. But somehow Shanahan keeps putting him out there. I don't get it. That's the most frustrating thing to me. Why the hell is Bell going out on that field? He shouldn't be able to sniff the grass. He can cut the grass. Maybe. He probably messed that up too. He probably shouldn't be allowed to even cut the grass before the game. He should just be allowed to sit down and watch the game. He makes errors every chance he can. It's like, don't throw it to Stone Hands. Why is Stonehands even in the game? Get him out. So anyway, wide receiver upgrade, good idea. Defensive coach upgrade, good idea. Go do it, Niners. I hope that you do it. I would love to see that happen. I don't know if it will, but I'm excited at the chance that's out there that maybe they can go get it done. So let's see what happens. I will be doing the post-game analysis as usual this Thursday night after Thursday Night Football, Niners versus Seahawks. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about some good things at that point. I feel like it's time for a turnaround here. There's some frustration in the locker room, but a win can obviously change that. But I see some opportunities for upgrades at the Niners, for the Niners right now, and they should make that happen. Anyway, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Please, again, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Appreciate all your support, and I'll see you in the next one. And remember, hard work beats talent when talent don't work. See you guys later.